for the Worshipful Mayor of South Ribble, Councillor Paul Wharton-Hardman.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and councillors. Before we start the usual proceedings, I am sure you will all be extremely saddened to learn of the death of former councillor Mal Donoghue. Before we open the meeting, we will now observe a minute's silence. Thank you. Group leaders may wish to say a few words. Councillor Matthew Tomlinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to keep my remarks quite short because, with your permission, I know I've got other people in my group who want to speak about Mal. But Mal was one of the nicest people, not just in politics but in life. Always there, always wanting to help. Whatever you ask Mal to do, Mal would do, and a genuinely nice guy. He took his council duties very seriously. He was so proud to be a South Ribble councillor, as I'm sure we all are, but Mal seemed to wear it as a real badge of honour. He served this council well. He certainly served the residents of Seven Stars well. And I think a reflection of just how popular Mal was the turnout at his funeral, where people from all walks of life, you know, the North West Regional Director of his union came because he respected Mal and his union work so much. I've spoken to Kath. Sadly, I was away last week, but I have spoken to Kath, his partner, this week, and she's doing as well as can be expected. But you know, Mal was a pleasure to be around. He was always the last to leave a social event. Sometimes after looking at my watch a few times, and Mal would still be there. But he was always such good company as well. And he will... I mean, he came to the Mayor's event just at Christmas, and he was there with Kath. He really, really appreciated the civic side of the council. And I know he supported every Mayor while he was on the council just as much as he could. And obviously from the Labour group, but from the whole council, we send our love and condolences to Kath.
Thank you. I'll ask the other group leaders to speak before I invite other members. Councillor Karen Walton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight again we have to pay tribute to one of our former councillors, Councillor Mal Donoghue, but also to celebrate his life. Mal was a man who served this council and the residents he represented with a quiet dignity, but with a clear sense of duty and dedication. He always supported many of the civic and fundraising events that this council held and served as on a number of committees on this council. And all our thoughts are with Mal's family and friends at this very sad and difficult time for them all.
Thank you. Councillor David Haworth.
I would just echo what Councillor Tomlinson has said. He was just a lovely, affable man, always came across, had a chat with you. I remember when I was Mayor, he came to a function when we were celebrating the gardens at Leyland Railway Station. So very much supported the council, very much supported council activities, and it's a sad loss.
Thank you. Are there any other members who wish to speak? Councillor Bell.
Thank you. As most of you will know, Mal was my companion at Seven Stars. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to cry. I met Mal about 12 years ago at Sue Jones's and Ken Jones's barbecue, and he brought a curry. Now, if you knew Mal, you knew he liked his curries. Viceroy, do you remember? We used to go to Viceroy, and he was always at the Viceroy, and he liked his curries. But he was my partner in crime at Seven Stars. We did lots of stuff together. We would go to coffee mornings. We would go to fun days. We were integral in setting up the Wade Hall Community Association when the funders withdrew. And that is still going from strength to strength. And that was just one of his community activities. He was very, very, I was going to say in support of, but it would be the wrong way of saying it, in support of antisocial behaviour, but that's the wrong way of saying it. He was really against it and hated it and did his damnedest to wipe it out. Without a lot of success, but at least he tried. And he was always going on about the bus routes, and there weren't enough buses going wherever, because he was a great one for public transport. So there was all that going on. So he was a man who was an honest man, a truthful man, a very loyal friend. And although we've all said he was a great councillor, he was a super person to work with. Great support to me. And if you remember, he did have a very serious heart operation a few years ago. And one of the things that happened was, once the residents got to know how poorly he was, I was inundated by phone calls and emails asking how he was from the residents of Seven Stars. That actually proves what a cracking community councillor he was. I shall very much miss him. He spent several hours in my garden, and if anybody's been in my garden, you know I've got a shed. I've got a shed into which there is quite a bar, so he spent quite a lot of time in my garden and in the bar. And again, always the last to leave, first to arrive and last to leave. But yes, I shall miss him, a lovely, lovely man, and a great Labour man, much better Labour man and much better politician than I've ever been or will ever be. So an example to follow. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other members wishing to speak? No? Okay, can I please ask you to join me in a moment of reflection with my chaplain, Father Paul Robinson.
Recently, our mayor experienced being far from home in New York. He was unable to return because of a winter storm. His plans changed and changed and changed and changed, and he phoned me every time they changed. But the travel had stopped. What should have been a straightforward journey became uncertain and out of his control. I prayed for his safe return. You might have prayed that he got stuck there until tomorrow. But here he is. Seriously, being stuck in a storm is a powerful reminder of something we all face at times. Moments when we feel stranded, maybe physically, emotionally, or in our responsibilities, wanting to move forward, but unable to do so. In the Christian tradition, storms often symbolise times of fear, disruption and waiting. Yet the Bible reminds us that God is present not only in the calm, but in the storms too. It speaks of God as a refuge, a steady presence, when circumstances feel unstable. Being stuck far from home can feel unsettling. Just ask him. It highlights how much we value safety, community,
and belonging. Being far from home and stuck far from home can teach us patience, humility and trust, recognising that some things are beyond our control, and that strength often lies in how we respond rather than how we quickly act. As councillors, each of you regularly face unexpected challenges, delays and difficult decisions. And like a storm, they can disrupt our plans and test our resilience. But storms also pass. And in the waiting, there is opportunity for reflection, for perspective, and for renewed commitment to serving others with wisdom and compassion. So may we always be reminded that even when journeys are interrupted, we are not abandoned. And may each of us continue to lead with steadiness, with faith and with hope, whatever weather we face. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a good council meeting. I didn't have much of your Buffy because I'm off to Spoons tonight. So you have a lovely meeting and I hope you're not here too long. Take care. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for that. I'll now start with some domestic arrangements for the meeting. Due to the regulations surrounding voting, only those members physically present are able to vote. Please ensure that all electronic equipment is either on silent mode or switched off. There are no planned fire alarms, so if it does sound, please leave via the emergency exits. The meeting is being live streamed during open session for members of the public to watch. If you'd like to speak, please press your microphone to let me know, and when I invite you to speak, your microphone will turn red. When we come to a vote, a screen will appear on your microphone and you only need to touch the option you wish to select. Please do not obstruct your mouth to ensure that anyone lip reading can do so. And if anybody is having any issues, please, as always, let Democratic Services or the IT team know. Some points on procedure for members. Section 21.8 of the Constitution permits filming or recording of any meeting of the Council, subject to the filming being done openly and that the Chair has been notified at the commencement of the meeting. If any member is filming or recording the meeting, please can you indicate this now? Members asking a question have a That's fine, thank you. Members asking a question have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak and may ask one supplementary question directly related to the original question for no more than 1 minute. A member who has spoken once on a motion may not speak again whilst it is being debated, except in specific circumstances. Individual members of the public will be restricted to speaking for a total of 5 minutes during the whole meeting and must have submitted questions in advance. When we are using the voting system, please remember to vote using the touchscreen of your microphone, not the request to speak button. Members are asked to remain seated for the duration of the meeting where possible, as any exits from the meeting will now be recorded in the minutes at the time the member leaves and returns to the meeting. Finally, can I please remind members of the Nolan Principles appended to the agenda front sheet and ask that we all treat each other with respect and courtesy during the meeting. I'll move to item number 1, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies?
There are, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Mary Green, who's joining on Teams, and then also Councillors Alty, Gabbett and Forshaw.
Thank you. Declarations of interest. Members are reminded of their responsibility to declare any pecuniary interest in respect of matters contained in this agenda. Are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Matthew Tomlinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for consistency, I'm going to follow my actions at Cabinet by declaring a personal but non-pecuniary interest in the appointment of the Mayor. People won't be surprised that I have a personal interest in that. I won't take part in the debate and I won't vote if a vote is necessary, but I'm not going to leave the room. It's a personal interest only, but I do want to put that on notice.
Thank you. Any other members wish to declare any interests? No? Okay, moving forward to item number 3, minutes of the Council. This item is for decision. Can I please ask the Leader of the Council, Councillor Matthew Tomlinson, to propose that the minutes of Wednesday the 19th of November 2025 be approved?
and I'm happy to move that, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Councillor Margaret Smith has indicated she wishes to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just for notes of accuracy, on page 10, it's the 6th paragraph down. It mentions about the acquisition of the pond at Longton. The pond is actually at Hutton, you know, and it goes on about the compulsory purchase. I'm still waiting for an answer, actually, from the 2 portfolio holders that I met about a few months ago, whether there's any progress on the compulsory purchase. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you happy to accept the point of amendment that the pond is in Hutton? Thank you. Are there any other points of accuracy members wish to raise? Okay. In the absence of that, can I take that? We move to the vote, please. Okay, that item, the minutes have been approved. Item number 4, Mayor's announcements. I'd like to formally welcome Councillor Claire Burton-Johnson to South Ribble Borough Council. Congratulations on your election and very welcome to our council meeting. Only a few announcements this evening, you'll be pleased to announce. Last year, it was a very busy year before Christmas. From the appointment in May, I attended nearly 150 events up to between May and Christmas, so a very busy year, and the calendar is not looking much quieter moving forward. I was absolutely delighted last week to attend Seven Stars School to open a brand new primary school. There's only a few actually, I think, which are on 2 different levels, and what a fantastic asset that is for the local community in the Leyland area. And I'm sure Councillor Colin Sharples, who's on the governing board, will agree with me. It was a really enjoyable morning. Yesterday we held the Holocaust event here at the Civic Centre. It was really pleasing to see so many members come and support that, and it was a real humbling reminder that as we as elected members need to stand up for injustice and challenge hate in our community. I think it was really quite moving for everybody who attended, so thank you so much for all those who supported that event yesterday. I'd like to thank the Deputy Mayor for attending many events on behalf of me over the last couple of weeks and months. I really appreciate your support. We've had a very busy year together, and I do appreciate all the support and guidance you've provided me. And finally, I'd like to make one more final announcement, and that is a very special birthday in the room tomorrow to Councillor Bell, who sadly wasn't able to be with us last year for her 80th birthday. However, Councillor Bell, I don't believe it, but somebody's told me you're 81 tomorrow, so we'd like to pass on our very happy congratulations to you. And we're all invited to the garden bar tomorrow at Councillor Bell's. Fantastic, thank you. They are my announcements. I'll move forward to item number 5. This item is for noting. Can I please ask the Leader of the Council, Councillor Matthew Tomlinson, to present the report of the Cabinet from the 26th of November and the 14th of January.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm happy to move that without comment.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the Council directly relating to this item? Councillor Karen Walton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've got a couple of questions for the Cabinet Member for Finance and Assets. Do you want me to say them both together? Okay. So at the Cabinet meeting on the 14th of January, the report on fees and charges, agenda item 8, proposed a general increase of up to 3.8% in fees and charges for 2026-27. And after listening to the governance meeting on the 20th of January, I wonder how these fees and charges are able to be set. Can the Cabinet Member justify the reasoning concerning the increase in the reduction of new fees and charges on the following items? Item 13, the increase of £10 from £30 to £40, a significant 33% rise to the garden waste subscription, intended to generate an extra £300 of income, but also bringing South Ribble in line with charges applied for this service by other authorities in Lancashire. What is the justification of this significant increase in the voluntary subscription? This Labour administration was against introducing the voluntary subscription, but now wants to increase the charge by such a substantial amount. Has the Cabinet member considered and will share my concerns that such a large increase will discourage the uptake of the green waste collection service, potentially leading to more fly tipping, the disposal of green waste illegally, and reducing the recycling of garden waste? This increase in the subscription designed to raise more revenue could potentially lead to a reduction of revenue and cost the Council more in the removal of unsightly and illegally tipped green waste. My next question is on items 17 and 18 of the same report. Could the Cabinet member explain the reasoning behind the increase in fees in the respect of the hire of the full conference centre facilities from £520 to £552, a rise of 6.15%. Item 18 of the report, it is proposed to introduce a variable car parking booking rate for hirers of the conference centre facilities, allowing their guests free parking for the day, which includes charges for weekend events. A customer who wishes to hold an event at the conference suite could be charged up to £400 for car parking fees. Could the Cabinet member explain the reasoning for introducing car parking charges for potential hirers of the facility? What assessment has been carried out on the potential impact on businesses, community groups and voluntary organisations that this imposition of the new car parking fees could have a detrimental effect on the bookings and income generated from hiring the conference suite? It was made clear at this council that the very expensive new council chamber we all sit in now was needed so that the conference suite could be made more available to hire and generate extra income for this council, but the impact of the new charges and car parking charges.
Thank you, Councillor Walton. Members have 3 minutes to ask a question. Would the Cabinet member like to answer?
Thank you, and if Council will forgive me, it's me who presents the Cabinet report, so I'm going to answer the questions. Members will be aware of a programme that we've been going through for a while now called Fit for the Future, and that's about making sure that this council is financially robust and stable and is ready for the changes ahead. I think under both Conservative and Labour, and indeed Labour Lib Dem coalition support, it wasn't a coalition, it wasn't never a coalition, but you supported us, so we should acknowledge that. Whoever has been running this council, all the time I've been on it, we have always been a well-run council financially. We've disagreed about politics, we've disagreed about individual issues, but we've always agreed that we have to run a sustainable council on a sound financial footing. And that's what the Fit for the Future programme is all about. And so we've looked at everything that we do. Why do we do it? Does it pay for itself? Does it need to be done? And that's why we're seeing some changes come through. On the garden waste charge, it is a big jump, but we were historically very low. Again, our Liberal Democrat friends wanted it to be reduced, and so we reduced it at one stage. We were, apart from Ribble Valley, way behind everybody else in Lancashire, way behind everybody else. And now what we're doing is catching up. It's interesting that the brown bin garden waste collection, it's not statutory, so we don't have to do it. We could just stop doing it, but we do it. People don't have to have one. They can choose not to have it, but it actually costs us money. It costs us money to run that service. So, you know, we're subsidising a non-statutory service that 40% of our residents don't have. So I represent Broadfield Ward, where there's a lot of flats and there's a lot of terraced houses, not many brown bins on my ward, but out of the council tax that they pay, they're subsidising the green waste collection for some people who might have 2 or 3 garden waste bins. So we took the decision that as we move, especially as we move towards LGI, we're going to catch up with other councils. We acknowledge it's a big rise. On the concern about will this mean lots of people dropping out, there's no evidence to support that. As we've increased it gradually over the last 2 or 3 years, there's been virtually no drop out in the service. and in other councils that are already charging 35, 40, 45 pounds, they're getting a pickup relatively equal to what we do. So I think it was a big decision. It was a decision that was debated long and hard within Cabinet, but we're prepared to stand by it. And I think with the conference centre, it's exactly the same argument. It's about making sure we are fit for the future. When we rent the conference centre out, there's a cost to that because we have to have staff here, we have to turn the lighting on, the heating on, we need to make sure we're health and safety compliant. So there is a cost. We think the costs that we've set are comparable with other places within the borough and in nearby areas, and we are confident that we will be able to generate the business in the conference centre. And as for parking, it's a slightly different argument, but again it comes to making the most of the assets that we've got. That land out there isn't free land. We have to pay to maintain it. There are business rates to pay on it. It costs us money to have that land sat there, and so if we can generate some income to try and get that money back, that is exactly what we'll do. As far as whether that will put people off, there's a lot of conference centres and town halls where there is no parking. If you wanted to rent Preston Town Hall for an event, it's a lovely venue and you can go, but there's no parking nearby, and then whatever parking you access you will have to pay for. So I think it only puts us on a par with everybody else. I would like to reassure Council though that these decisions are not taken by the mood of the day. The decisions that we consider long and hard, and the decisions that we take within the framework of our Fit for the Future strategy. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from any members of the Council directly relating to the content of the minutes? Councillor Margaret Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It isn't a question, it's more a thank you. And I'd like to thank the Cabinet for putting in their proposed budget an amount of money for the closed graveyards. We have requested it from, well, I have personally, at the Governance Committee many times, as the Councillor for Finance knows, as he was the Chairman of Governance for a while. And I'm hoping now that we can get on and get our closed graveyards up to a standard, and the 4 outstanding work actions that are required can get moving at pace. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from any members of the Council? Okay, as this item is for noting, we do not need to take a vote. Moving forward to item number 6, this item is also for noting. Can I please ask the Chair of the Audit and Governance Committee, Councillor Ian Watkinson, to present the report of the Audit and Governance Committee held on the 25th of November and the 20th of January.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. Thanks to the officers for putting the report that arrived as a supplementary so quickly from the meeting last week. So both reports are in the pack from last week and also from the 25th of November. There's a range of items and reports that are included covering internal and external audits. I'll just draw your attention to 2 of the items and reports that are in the supplementary that we were really pleased came forward, one of which covering asbestos and asbestos management, something we've been looking for quite some time. So thanks to Wes and the officers for bringing that forward. It's a good report. There's a more detailed report there for people that want to access it. And also thanks to the officers that came along to talk us through some of the cyber security issues that are being tackled and the measures that have been put in place to keep us cyber safe, I guess, moving forward. So thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Seconded, Mr. Mayor. If I may make a point about the latter meeting, you mentioned the asbestos report, and it was a presentation by Adam Nixon, which I was very impressed by. I'm very pleased to see, so thank you. So seconded, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the Council? Councillor Margaret Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've read the report of the Audit and Governance Committee of the 20th of January 2026.
And I would like to ask the Chairman if he feels that a mention that the members expressed concern regarding the process of monitoring contracts adequately covers the extent of the reports covered that evening. Should there also not be a mention of the deep concern felt about the status attached to the reports on volunteering, external events and fees and charges? 4 of the 6 internal audit reports at that meeting were given a limited or minimum status. This audit opinion requires action and attention immediately. The audit report states that a minimal limited rating shows, and I read from their report, significant gaps, weaknesses or non-compliance were identified. Improvement is required to the system of governance, risk management and control to effectively manage risk to the achievement of objectives in the area audited. And it also tells us that 2 of the 3 lines of defence have been breached. The first line is management. The second line, in the case of, say, fees and charges, is the finance department. The third line of defence is internal audit. This is where the failings are identified through the audit process. In view of these findings, do you think that there is any merit in the Cabinet members attending our meetings to hear of our concerns and sometimes praise for a reasonable report in the case of, say, the business rate or the cyber security, as it happened at the last meeting? Also, will the report be adjusted to reflect the comments that I have made this evening? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Watkinson, I'll ask you to respond before I bring in the next question. Thank you.
Thanks for raising those issues, Councillor Smith. You're absolutely right. It was a detailed and in-depth discussion around some of the concerns that have been raised. I'd add some balance to that to say that there are quite a few positives as well. But in terms of action planning and getting the things right that need to be put right, then there are action plans and dates in place. There was some discussion around aligning those dates in perhaps a sharper way, but it was certainly a matter that was discussed in detail. In terms of inviting Cabinet members along, they're always welcome. Cabinet members are always welcome and they attend lots of the meeting, and if they can't attend in person, they're generally there online. But yeah, I'd welcome any Cabinet member along, and indeed any other member of the Council along. It's a good meeting. You'd enjoy it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillor David Howarth.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd certainly enjoy it more than I did, because I've watched the Audit and Governance Committee meeting of last week, and I have to say it was alarming, to say the least, particularly on contract management. Now, we didn't get any in-depth detail because this was an audit across shared services, South Ribble and Chorley. But when you audit 14 contracts and you can't find 5 of them, and then the other 2 you can find haven't been signed, there has to be some serious concerns. And it also concerns me that perhaps the explanation given for this was, well, we're going to put all the staff through contract management training. We've only been here 51 years. I would have thought that if your job involved managing contracts, you might already know how to do it. There was another alarming point as well about how we were going to send them prompts to get them to check whether the contracts were being run properly. Well, if they're employed to manage contracts, why do they need to be prompted to actually do the job? So I wonder if you're as concerned as I am that we perhaps have a governance failing here, and maybe you should be meeting with the relevant Cabinet members to come to a very quick and speedy resolution of how we sort this out. Councillor Tomlinson, you've just told us why we need to raise fees and charges and how it's income for the council. I was also alarmed to hear that we implement fees and charges policies, but then some of those fees and charges policies aren't actually carried out. So we have fees and charges, but nobody's actually charging them. So that has surely got to be a cause for concern as well. So while I'm sure that many aspects of governance in this council are excellent, these are serious failings and serious failings that could cost the council.
Thank you. Councillor Ian Watkinson.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure there's a question in there, but I'll respond as best I can. Yes, you're absolutely right. There were a number of concerns that have been highlighted by internal audit, and that's what they're there to do. And were discussed in depth with the Governance Committee, who pushed back and asked for some strengthening measures to be put in place. So I'm confident that we'll see those strengthening measures put in place, hopefully in a timely manner and a timely fashion. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you there at a future meeting, maybe in person next time. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from any members of the council? Okay, as this item is for noting, we do not need to take a vote. Moving forward to item number 7. This item is for noting. Can I please ask the Chair, Councillor Pete Pillinger, to present the report of the Committee of the Corporate Performance and Budget Scrutiny Committee held on the 24th of November 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You'll excuse my informality. I normally try and be a bit more formal than this at council meetings, but the message on my T-shirt is the reason that I'm informally dressed. I'm still getting hot flushes, and some of you will understand that better than others. I present the report. There's nothing that I need to say to add to it, except that it's a good committee to be on, and that we look forward to working more in the future. Perhaps an additional comment is that we are aware in the scrutiny committees of future work that will be coming up because of local government reform. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Green. Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the council directly relating to this item? No? Okay, as this item is for noting, we do not need to take a vote. Moving forward to item number 8, this is the Community and External Scrutiny Committee. This is on pages 129 to 130 in the To Follow pack. This item is for noting. Can I please ask Councillor Matt Campbell to present the report of the committee held on the 21st of January 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to present the report of the Community and External Scrutiny Committee meeting from Wednesday the 21st of January 2026. I'm happy to take any questions and I ask Council to note the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Pritchard. Are there any questions from any members of the Council directly relating to the item? No? Okay, as this item is for noting, we do not need to take a vote. Moving forward to item number 9, this is public questions. Members of the public must give written notice of any question to the Chief Executive at least one clear day before the date of the meeting. Members of the public will have 3 minutes to put their question to the relevant councillor, and members of the public will be allowed to ask one short related supplementary question. We will take these questions in order. There is one question, and this is from Mr. Derek Forrest, who is asking it in his capacity as a resident.
Is it on there? Right. In your ongoing negotiations leading to the formation of new unitary authorities, do you feel there's any hope of preserving our relationship with Germany and Schleswig-Flensburg?
Sorry, is that your question, Mr. Forrest? Thank you. Councillor Tomlinson.
Thank you, and thank you to Alderman Forrest for his question. And before I respond to it, I would like to pay tribute to his undying dedication to this cause. He was passionate about town twinning when he was a member of this council, and he remains so clearly, as you can see by his question. I very much hope that the strong partnership we have established with Schleswig-Flensburg will endure for many years to come. Indeed, the Mayor has been invited to lead a civic visit to our twin town in the summer, where we'll share our knowledge and learning for the benefit of both of our communities. We're also actively discussing a youth exchange programme to broaden our young people's cultural awareness and provide opportunities for citizens of the future. Now, obviously, the future of any town twinning will be a decision of the new unitary authority. But should it be a unitary authority based on just the 3 councils of ourselves, Chorley and West Lancashire, I'm confident that our relationship with Schleswig-Flensburg will continue and to flourish. However, should we end up with the 2 unitary model as proposed by Reform UK at Lancashire County Council, then we would merge with West Lancashire, Chorley, Blackburn, Hyndburn, Burnley, Pendle and Rossendale, and sadly should this come about, I can give no such assurances.
Thank you. I'm assuming you have a supplementary.
Mayor, does the leader agree with me that in this threatening and unstable world, with the previous bedrock of our alliance with the USA being increasingly brought into question, it behoves us to take every opportunity to demonstrate to our European friends that we in Lancashire are at one with them and will face adversity together, regardless of past decisions to stand apart. Decisions which look increasingly traitorous, outdated and irrelevant.
Thank you. Councillor Tomlinson.
Well, I hadn't seen the supplementary, so clearly, I think no matter what's going on anywhere else in the world, like Alderman Forrest, I've always been a big supporter of our town twinning arrangements, and I will continue to do so.
Thank you. We'll move forward to item number 10. This is members' questions on notice. We've received questions in advance and these have been published on mod.gov. We will now hear questions in order of receipt until the 30 minutes question time has ended. Please may I remind members you are permitted to ask 1 question, speaking for no more than 3 minutes. Following this, you are entitled to ask 1 supplementary question directly related to your original question, speaking for no longer than 1 minute. We will take these questions in order. The first question is from Councillor Damien Breverton. Councillor Breverton, I notice you've asked 3 questions. Please could you select 1 to ask? If we do have time at the end, once we've asked the others, I will come back to you. But for future reference, it is 1 question per member. It is new, so I will allow it. But please pick 1 to choose.
Thank you. I wish to refer to my previous engagement with the Council regarding the need for a pedestrian footpath and safe crossing on Carwood Road, Walton Park. This includes the question I raised at the Council meeting held on 19th of November, as well as my follow-up email sent on 23rd of November. I also refer to the Cabinet meeting on 14th of January. At the Cabinet meeting held on 14th of January, a detailed explanation was provided regarding the sums collected from Section 106 agreements and the Community Infrastructure Levy, as well as the intended purposes for these funds. It was highlighted that the majority of the approximately £7 million referenced for the 24-25 period had been allocated to the City Deal and to affordable housing initiatives. The meeting agenda, particularly on page 131.5, under the heading How Projects Are Identified, refers to both the infrastructure delivery plan and the local plan. I would like to request confirmation as to whether the provision of a pedestrian footpath and safe crossing on Carwood Road is being or will be considered as part of this process. If not, please can we assure that it will be. The final paragraph in this section notes that as the City Deal draws to a close over the next 18 to 24 months, the Council will have increased influence over the local allocation of SIL funds. The final sentence encourages members to champion projects that matter most to your communities. On behalf of residents in our Walton Liddell West Ward, I can confirm that the establishment of a pedestrian footpath and safe crossing on Carwood Road is a project of significant importance. Referring back to my previous question at Council on 19th of November, and echoing the views expressed by our Member of Parliament, Mayor Ellis, in her Facebook post dated 3rd of January this year, I think this might be a second question, but I was asking if you'd agree with Mayor's Member of Parliament, Mayor Ellis, whether he agrees that that's high on the list of priorities for our residents. I'm not too sure if that was a question or not, but I request your agreement that a pedestrian footpath and safe crossing on Carwood Road should be earmarked for construction, and that the relevant procedures should be completed to include this project among the identified schemes expected to benefit from the £2.75 million in unspent SIL funds due to be transferred back to Lancashire County Council during the 25-26 financial year.
Just in time. You've had your 3 minutes. Thank you. I'm not going to ask you another questions at the end because it's 3 minutes per councillor. So we'll save them for another day. I'm sure they'll be answered in writing. But would the Cabinet Member for Planning and Licensing please like to answer that question? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be delighted to. So I'm relieved that I don't have to answer them all. But just in case I do have the answers. Right, in relation to the question on the provision of a pedestrian footpath and safe crossing on Carwood Road, in assessing the planning applications for the Lidl store and the nearby housing development off the Causeway, Lancashire County Council, as the local highway authority, did not advise that a pedestrian crossing on Carwood Road was required to make either development acceptable in planning terms. Accordingly, no such requirement was secured via planning conditions or Section 106 obligations. I know you're waiting for me to say something positive, aren't you? Yeah. In terms of whether this council should approve the installation of a pedestrian footpath and safe crossing on Carwood Road, the scheme can be added for consideration within the council's infrastructure delivery plan, which means that should there be further opportunities for 106 monies from developments in the area, the council can try to secure funding for this scheme. And as Cabinet Member for Planning and Licensing, I cannot authorise its construction directly, as it would not be supported and delivered by Lancashire County Council as the Highways Authority. However, I can certainly use my powers to assist residents to lobby the county to do so and ensure that when this authority has direct control of its SIL monies, identify funding to pay for the scheme. I told you there'd be something nearly positive in there. I have answers for all those questions. If you don't get a chance to ask them, what we will do, we'll make sure you get a copy of those answers and some additional data as well that we've got. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sharples. Unfortunately, Councillor Breverton won't have time because it's usually 3 minutes. However, he does have the option for a supplementary question directly related to those. Please, could I ask you to send him the answers to the other questions as well? Thank you. Councillor Breverton, do you have a supplementary in relation to the crossing? Yes.
Thank you for that response. Our residents will be pleased that the safe crossing and pedestrian footpath will be considered in future should the funds become available, and our residents will be pleased when they hear about it that you will lobby for that to Lancashire County Council and use all your power available to do that. It is a shame that the council is spending Section 106 monies on cricket pitches and sports facilities.
Councillor Breverton, could I ask you to ask your question directly related to this item? Thank you.
Do you agree with me that the council should, instead of prioritising spending money on cricket pitches and sports facilities for the fit and able, we should also prioritise funding for safe crossings for our elderly, children and most vulnerable in our wards? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sharples.
Unfortunately, no, I cannot agree with you on that point. Obviously, everybody would come to me with exactly the same argument, so it's done on priorities and needs. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Councillor George Rear.
Thank you, Mayor. Can the Cabinet Member please provide the meeting with some more detail on the timescale for the introduction of food waste collections across South Ribble? This is a matter of particular concern for my residents and neighbours in Farrington West Ward, given the location of the anaerobic digestion facility on Farrington Waste Park.
Thank you. Councillor Unsworth.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your question, Councillor Rea. I'm pleased to provide an update on the timeline for the introduction of food waste collections in South Ribble. Firstly, I'd like to confirm that the weekly food waste collections across Lancashire will begin in April 2026, in line with the national statutory requirements which were introduced by the previous Conservative government. In South Ribble, we're on track to start collections on Monday the 13th of April. Residents will receive their food waste containers, liners and a full instruction leaflet ahead of the launch. Distribution of those items will begin week commencing the 16th of February and will take approximately 6 weeks to complete. I'd like to acknowledge the work of the team in getting this up and running in such an order, to meet the deadlines. The question also alluded to the processing of food waste at Farrington. Lancashire County Council manages the processing facilities as the disposable authority. Don't know if that's right. Are they disposable? Anyway, they dispose of it. I'm sure they're not disposable. Disposal authority, not disposable.
Thank you.
South Ribble, Chorley, Preston and Rosendale will deliver their collected food waste directly to the Farrington facility. However, not all food collected in the county will be processed there. The arrangements for all the other Lancashire districts are being finalised directly by Lancashire County Council. If residents or members have further questions about the county-wide disposal arrangements, Lancashire County Council will be the appropriate body to contact directly. South Ribble's committed to supporting residents throughout the introduction of this service, which is designed to boost recycling rates and to protect the local environment. I hope that gives you a clear overview, but I'm happy to take any further questions. Alternatively, there's lots of information on the website if you search food waste collections. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Reid, do you have a supplementary related to that question?
A comment rather than a question. Thank you very much to Councillor Unsworth for such a comprehensive response, and I'd like to put on record my thanks to all of the team who will be making this happen over the next few months. Let's hope it all goes smoothly.
Thank you. The next question is from Councillor Joan Burrows, and this is a question for the Cabinet Member for Finance and Assets. Councillor Burrows.
Thank you. Following on from my previous questions to Council, given the Council's proposal to introduce car parking charges at a number of locality car parks across the borough, and that includes the car park at Ryfield Road, adjacent to the Kingsfold trading area, in the Middleford ward, of which I am elected to serve. The online consultation period concluded early December, I think it was the 8th, and I handed a petition signed by people using the local businesses into the council prior to that deadline. That petition numbered 1,209. I've further objections here tonight, numbering 715, and a few more sheets to collect, which I think will total up to another 1,000. I'll hand these to the Cabinet Member or an officer who wants them following the meeting. My question is, has any decision been taken? And if not, when will the outcome be public knowledge? If it has been taken, I wonder if you could share that with me tonight. And I'd also like to know from the Cabinet Member if he could confirm.
Councillor Burrows, thank you. You've read your question. If you want to come back with a supplementary relating to that afterwards, you're more than welcome. But you've read your question. I'll invite the Cabinet Member to respond. Thank you.
I thought I was going to hear the supplementary then as well, so I was looking forward to it. thank you for your question, Councillor Burrows. I think the petition was quite powerful. I thought it was a sign of democracy being alive as a political geek, and the entirety of your petition, or the petition, I don't know who it was organised by, I'm guessing it was the local businesses, was more than all the responses we received to the entire consultation. So it was nice that a local area kind of said, wanted to talk about it. I was a little bit concerned about kind of the overleaf of what was displayed in the shops, because it didn't refer to any free parking at all, which was kind of a bit not really the full package. But you're right in saying that the consultation did close. I got the responses, like the raw data, just before Christmas. I didn't read them on Christmas Day, but I did read all of them across all the car parks over the Christmas period. And I've been talking with the team, and will continue to talk with the team, but no decisions as of yet have been taken. And a decision, the paper that went to Cabinet in September delegated the decision to me via an executive member decision. So that will come forward in due course and be public knowledge.
Thank you. Councillor Burrows, do you have a supplementary directly relating to that question?
Yeah. So thank you very much, because there is a very strong feeling in the neighbourhood about this introduction of car parking charges. So my supplement question is, will the Cabinet member confirm that there has been an impact assessment done? Because I'm particularly concerned about whether there'll be enough car parking spaces for disabled people, and about the disbursement of vehicles in the area, possibly into other residential roads. So when the final outcome is made public, could that also sit aside the assessment the impact assessment report? That would be very helpful to the local people. I mean, again, I don't know what the Cabinet member feels about the fact that for employees, employers and business owners, to park their cars there is going to cost them around £50 per month. And that, coupled with the rent increases of £2,500 to each unit there this year, is rather upsetting for the businesses to stomach. So I don't know whether the Cabinet member can comment on that.
Thank you. Councillor Roberts.
Mr Mayor, I was just trying to find what when we did some data looking at the car parks, we did look at how full the car parks were. So when we looked over a 4-week period, it was about 75% occupied at that Ryfield Avenue car park. So I'm not convinced it's going to be rammed even further, if you see what I mean. I think it's about principles and choice, isn't it? So my wife's an NHS worker, she's a midwife, she has to pay for car parking. I know Councillor Alty spoke about that previously. There's a question around employees' choice to buy car parking passes for their employees. I'm fortunate enough to work for an employee that provides free car parking. I'm sure there's others around that don't do that. When I was in London, I got the tube, and it was quite expensive, but it was, wages were higher as well. So there's lots of different choices, and no decisions have been made. Impact assessments have been raised kind of across the piece through different car parks as well, or maybe not impact assessments directly, but kind of have you thought about X or Y characteristic or whatever it might be. And we've got to, as a team, we've got a great team here working on it. We've got to think about what's proportionate and what's reasonable as well. So I'm not going to say, oh yes, it will sit aside an impact assessment, but we're definitely considering the impacts on people. And I think at the Cabinet meeting that we actually introduced and took the decision on the kind of go out on consultation, we did say one of the benefits was around investing in car parks, the idea of kind of, if we're going to introduce charging or increase charging in places, that we'd invest back into the car parks. And one of the things we could do around accessibility was looking at each car park had the right amount of bays, blue badge bays for accessibility needs. So there was something else I was going to say, but I can't quite remember. Oh, it was just the muddling of different kind of rent reviews, and it's quite common in business that kind of your rent is linked to either an annual increase or it's kind of a period after 5 years that it would go up. You mentioned this twice in 2 different meetings, but I'm waiting for the details from the last meeting. So if you could send them over, we're always willing to engage with our tenants, but ultimately, yes, we are the council, but we're a landlord, and that means we're a good landlord, but that doesn't mean we're not going to look at market rates. And I will just end with this to say that we do value local businesses and what they offer in the area. I was down in Ryfields kind of the other day on Sunday, and for whatever reason I was buying some cakes, not all for me, there was 4, but the card machines weren't working. I didn't have any cash, and I didn't even ask, and the person just said, you know what, just pop in next week and pay next time you're in, which is just a sign of kind of like community spirit being well and truly alive, and we see the value in this decision, and that's why we're not going to rush to make one.
Thank you. That concludes members' questions time. Councillor Breverton, your questions, further questions will be sent in writing. Just to remind members moving forward that it is 1 question per council meeting for 3 minutes per question. Thank you. Moving forward to item number 11, the returning officer's report. This item is for noting. Can I please ask the returning officer to present the report?
Yes, and in fact, actually, Mr. Mayor, I think you've already stolen my thunder. In your report, there was an election held just before Christmas, with thanks to the school who provided the accommodation for us at very short notice, and that I can report that Councillor Burton-Johnson has been elected.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from any members of the council? Councillor Karen Walton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We wish to congratulate our new councillor, Claire Burton-Johnson, and welcome her to this council. And it was good to see that the democratic process took place when it did. And welcome. Look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Any other comments from any members of the council? No? Okay. As this item is for noting, we do not need to take a vote. Moving forward to item number 12, appointment to outside bodies. This item is for decision. Can I please ask the Leader of the Council, Councillor Matthew Tomlinson, to introduce the proposal?
Yes, I'm happy to move that proposal without comment.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. I believe there's an amendment from Councillor Howarth. Is that correct?
So much an amendment, but I have been led to believe that this is appointments to outside bodies and committees. So I would like to propose that Councillor Claire Burton-Johnson becomes a member of the Corporate Performance and Budget Scrutiny Committee with myself as a substitute, and that I am appointed to Licensing Committee with Councillor Turner as a substitute.
Thank you. Councillor Tomlinson, are you happy to accept the amendment?
I have to say I will miss Councillor Howarth on the Corporate Support and Scrutiny Committee, but I look forward to being scrutinised by our new councillor. I'm happy to accept that as a friendly amendment.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from any members of the council directly relating to this item? No? Okay. Everybody's heard the amendment. I'm assuming everybody's happy with the amendment and there's nobody need me to repeat it. No? Okay. Can I please ask that we move to the vote? Thank you. That item has been approved. Moving forward to item number 13, nomination of Mayor-elect and Deputy Mayor-elect for 2026-27. This item is for decision. Can I please ask the Deputy Leader of the Council, Councillor Aniela Belitsky-Gelder, to present the report?
Thank you. Very quickly, I nominate Councillor Caleb Tomlinson as Mayor-elect for 2026-27, and that Councillor Ian Watkinson be nominated as Deputy Mayor-elect for 26-27, with a view to becoming the Mayor in 27-28. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Happy to take it, Mr. Mayor, and reserve the right to speak later.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from any members of the council directly relating to this item? Councillor Karen Walton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Conservative Group wish to challenge the decision by this Labour administration to nominate a Deputy Mayor for 2026-27 from within its own political group, contrary to the agreed protocol from January 2022, which states, It is proposed that the nomination for mayor is based on a number of years' service as a member of this council, and that this be by rotation across the political groups on this council. We are extremely disappointed that this protocol, which is part of the council's agreed governance framework and intended to ensure fairness, balance and adherence to democratic principles, such an action to disregard the protocol has undermined the integrity of this council, and is an action outside the constitutional arrangements, setting precedents outside the council's agreed protocol. The mayoral nomination decision should be made with regards to the protocol. Failure to do so risks eroding the confidence in this council's governance arrangements, and the Labour administration has nominated a mayor and deputy mayor from its own political group since 2024-25, contrary to the protocol, without any formal amendments or council approval. There has been no discussion with other leaders of the political parties, and the position of honorary mayor of the borough of South Ribble may never be required again after 2027, with the prospect of local government reorganisation being imposed on the local councils in Lancashire. So as a gesture of goodwill, the opportunity to be nominated for deputy mayor for 26-27, in our opinion, should have been offered to the longest serving member of this council, if they wish to be nominated, as a reward for all their years of service to this borough, but instead another member of the Labour group has been nominated. I call for this nomination to be withdrawn, and I propose that Councillor Michael Green, the longest serving councillor, to be nominated as the Deputy Mayor-elect for 2026-27. I've got the amendment here for you to consider tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Walton. So I've been handed an amendment from the Conservative group proposed by Councillor Walton that Councillor Caleb Tomlinson be nominated as Mayor-elect for 2026-27, and that Councillor Michael Green be nominated Deputy Mayor-elect for 2026-27, with a view to becoming Mayor in 2027 to 2028. Is this seconded? Is that seconded by Councillor Howarth or Councillor Molyneux? Councillor Molyneux. Okay, so the amendment which is now being discussed is that Councillor Caleb Tomlinson be elected as Mayor and Councillor Michael Green be nominated, nominated, not elected, my terminology, nominated as Mayor, sorry, you're not there yet, and Councillor Michael Green be nominated as Deputy Mayor. Councillor Howarth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The reason why I was seconding that motion, but I haven't because it's been seconded by Councillor Molyneux, is because the report that's been put before us is just not factually correct. The comments of the monitoring officer are that this report is in accordance with the Council's constitution. It quite clearly isn't. If I can refer you to page 20, that's page 65 of the Constitution, all decisions of the Council will be made in accordance with the following principles, and at principle F it's in accordance with the budget and policy framework, finance contract and all other procedure rules, statutory requirements, guidance and codes of practice. On page 68 of the Constitution, only the full Council will exercise the following functions, and at C, that's approve the policy framework with the strategies and policies that sit within it. The monitoring officer has a duty to advise whether Cabinet decisions are within the budget and policy framework. The monitoring officer shall advise whether decisions of the Cabinet are in accordance with the budget and policy framework, that's at section H. This clearly isn't, because as Councillor Mrs Walton has already said, at the Cabinet meeting on Wednesday the 19th of January and at the full Council on Wednesday the 26th of January, this Council approved a protocol and procedure for the selection of future mayors based on length of service and political rotation to the full Council. And the protocol for selecting nominations for mayor, which is within the strategy framework, it is proposed that the nomination for mayor be based on the number of years of service as a member of the Council, and that this be by rotation across the political groups on the Council. So on that basis, I have no axe to grind with Councillor Watkinson, and I will happily meet him in the Tap and Vine whenever he chooses or wishes to. And I'm in no way in the fan club of Councillor Michael Green. And I do acknowledge that, you know, there is a bit of brass neck when the Conservatives stand up and talk about fairness, having taken 11 out of 12 mayoralties in the last time they were in control of the council. But I have argued for years and years, probably over 20 years now, that we should have a fair and equitable policy for electing the mayor, and it should not be Punch and Judy politics. Well, you did this, so we'll do that. It should be based on length of service and rotated between the different political parties. And on that basis, and on that basis alone, I am supporting Councillor Green's nomination for Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Before I bring any further members in, can I please ask the Deputy Monitoring Officer to make comment? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Is it working? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to point out that the decision before you tonight is in respect of the nomination of the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor. The actual decision around the election of the Mayor and Deputy Mayor is going to take place at the annual meeting in May. So that is the actual decision of the council. So we're just following the actual process. I understand that this was put before members at full council last year, so there was a process followed at that point. That's the actual approach that's been taken this time round. I've also considered the resolution that you referred to, Councillor Howarth, in respect of the meeting that took place on the 25th of January 2022, and I've noticed that actual resolution refers to, if you just give me a second. So the resolution stipulates that from 2024 to 2025 that the Mayor be nominated on the basis of length of service and being a member of the Conservative group as outlined in the report. Now, surely it's incorrect that the Conservative member would be nominated each time. So on that basis, that resolution is actually invalidated. So I would advise that we follow the process as per last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Howarth, I'll bring you back in.
But you're completely wrong. Yeah. I raised
Councillor Howard.
And I'll tell you why.
Thank you.
I raised exactly the same point last year. I challenged Councillor Olty and I told her it was unconstitutional. Now, you have quoted section 7 from the report from 2022, which does state exactly what you've said. What you've omitted to quote is section 17, which then goes on to say, it is proposed that the nomination for mayor be based on the number of years of service as a member of the council and that this rotation across political groups on the council. In practice, this would mean that the mayor for 2025 would be from the Conservative group and in subsequent years rotated around the other political groups in order of the number of seats held at that time. You're being picky about what you want to quote, and you're not following protocol.
Disgraceful.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. Can I please invite the Chief Executive to speak? Thank you.
I recognise that absolutely the statutory officers of the council can be challenged by councillors, but we shouldn't be referring in a public meeting to officers being disgraceful. They don't have the same right to reply as other councillors, and so I would just ask that Taz is giving advice. Absolutely, members may disagree with it, but I would ask that people do it in the way that actually should be recognised that they are employees of the council and employees of full council. There is obviously, and it has been for a number of years, as Councillor Howarth points out, a significant disagreement between political groups. Officers are trying to provide advice, I absolutely recognise, but I would just ask that people don't say that the advice of the Deputy Manager is disgraceful in a public council meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Turley, you indicated you wish to speak. Do you?
No, I'm not going to speak now because there's no point in saying anything because it's not going to have any effect whatsoever other than the fact that I have totally no confidence in the governance of this council. Thank you.
Are there any other members wishing to speak? Councillor Wesley Roberts. This is on the amendment.
Mr. Mayor, and I'm pleased to rise. I think it was just the last full council meeting before Christmas. We were praising all the officers around the organisation, and I'm really pleased that the majority of us are continuing that spirit. You know, I think Councillor Howe in particular raises some interesting points, and in looking to a future organisation, if LGR was to happen, that, you know, we'd be in charge of kind of setting that process and from at the offset and trying to influence it. Unfortunately, I won't be supporting the amendment because I don't think there was an apology in that speech from Councillor Walton to yourself after last year, where you were, you know, after you were willing to throw yourself out of a plane, Mr. Mayor, and things that were said shouldn't have been said. So I'd like to move to the vote, and then we can vote on approving the nomination for Councillor Tomlinson, that one, not this one, and Watkinson, after the amendment fails.
Thank you. We are discussing the amendment. Before we do that, I'd like to invite the monitoring officer, Rochelle Tapping, to please speak as well.
Can I be heard? Yes. Good evening, members. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. So just want to give some more context to what our Deputy Monitoring Officer has said. So our only point of reference as people who weren't at that meeting which we're discussing is the record of the decisions made at the meeting and also the minutes. That's it. Both documents talk about a recommendation which Taz read out to you all, which reads that from 2024 to 25, the Mayor be nominated on the basis of length of service and being a member of the Conservatives group as outlined in the report. Now, there are some obstacles with the drafting of that resolution. First and foremost, the question of whether or not it has legal effect or whether or not it's ultra vires. So when you're in doubt in relation to a resolution, the next thing that sort of, if you like, trumps what you need to do is the Constitution. Now, the Constitution is absolutely silent on nomination of a mayor and a deputy. It's not silent on election, which we all know is a decision for the full council, but nomination is completely silent. So what can we use to make the decision? We default to what we've done previously because you all have a legitimate expectation that we will make our decisions how we previously made it. I looked at how we made the decision last year, and it was in fact the same way we propose to do it this year. So if you like, I have a route of decision making. What I will say is that it's best practice across lots of councils to have some procedure around how you appoint your mayor. And I take into consideration that we've got local government reorganisation upon us, so this may be the last one. But actually, there's still merit, given that nothing's happened as yet, in real time, for us to make a forward decision in relation to a draft protocol which can be approved and then adopted into the Constitution. But it's absolutely clear at this point in time, Mr. Mayor, that that reference, there's an issue about legality. It's not part of any governance framework. It's not part of the Constitution. It's not an approved protocol, and it's not within any strategy framework. So I don't believe that you're prohibited today from making a lawful decision. And in relation to your Constitution powers, Mayor, on page 182, 1917, your ruling on the interpretation of the Constitution is final. I hope that context was helpful, members. Thank you.
Thank you. Listening to the advice of the interim monitoring officer, I am willing to take that advice and rule that that is the final decision, and therefore we are able to make a legal decision based on that this evening. Councillor Angela Turner, you've already spoken once on this amendment. Is it a point of order?
It could be a point of order, but I'm not sure. Yeah. So basically, if we look at it from a common sense point of view, and this is the protocol buried in the in the minutes of a meeting a couple of years ago. Well, we may as well never have just done this. So Councillor Paul Foster, Councillor Karen Walton and Councillor David Howarth, who spent a lot of time in a working group to debate this, because at the end of the day, I wanted fairness as well myself. It's unfair for a political party to continue to have a mayor from their party. Common sense tells you that. Come on, guys. It should be switched from one party to the other. I've never come across a single mayor who has ever shown partiality to another political party. You've never done it. Councillor Howarth didn't do it. Councillor Rainsbury didn't do it. Councillor Molyneux didn't do it. I have total trust, and it's one of the few remaining trusts I have in the position of this council is the mayor. I've never ever witnessed a mayor act in a way that I felt was unfair. This was put together, so basically Councillor Paul Foster, Walton and Howarth, with the officer who spent hundreds of hours putting this together, it was obviously all a complete waste of time. And when we all voted for it, it was all a complete waste of time. And this has just left me, as I said to you before, I don't feel I'm in an organisation that's trusted, that does the right thing. And I'm a councillor, I'm part of this organisation, and this organisation is letting me down because that isn't worth the paper it's written on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Not a problem, thank you. And I just want to clarify that I'm obviously made my decision based on the advice given by the monitoring officer this evening. Councillor Aniela Belitsky-Gelder.
I just want to second Wes's proposal to move to the vote.
Sorry, I didn't hear a proposal.
Yeah.
Did he? Okay, apologies, I missed that. So the proposal to move to the vote, second is to move to the vote. I'm happy we move to the vote on the amendment. So just to confirm, we are voting on the amendment, and that is that Councillor Caleb Tomlinson be nominated as Mayor-elect for 2026-27, and that Councillor Michael Green be nominated Deputy Mayor-elect for 2026-27 with a view to becoming Mayor in 27-28. Councillor Smith, I've moved to the vote on this item. Apologies.
I can't say anything.
I've moved to the vote. I've just been made aware I need to move to the vote to move to the vote. So we're moving to the vote that we move to the vote. So can I ask members to show their indication whether they are happy for the proposal to move to the vote, which has been seconded. So we are only voting on moving to the vote. Councillor Smith, I've indicated we're moving to the vote and I've closed the debate. Thank you. Okay, that's been carried. We are now moving to the vote on the amendment. So now we are voting on the amendment which has been put before us. Okay, that amendment has been lost. We're now moving back to the substantive motion, and the substantive motion is that Councillor Caleb Tomlinson be nominated as Mayor-elect for 26-27, and that Councillor Ian Watkinson be nominated Deputy Mayor-elect for 2026-27 with a view to becoming Mayor in 27-28. As this is now substantive, we will open the debate again. Councillor Phil Smith.
I'm not 100% sure I want to speak on this anymore, Mr Mayor, because
please
as I
be
say,
seated then.
The governance arrangements of this council are difficult to interpret. My name was on there to speak immediately behind Councillor Turner. When Councillor Turner spoke,
Councillor Belinsky-Gelder's name came up above mine and mine disappeared. Now, mine was on there before it was seconded, and that was the point I was trying to make. As a point of clarification, I had a right to speak at that time and was denied that right to speak. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. I'm not sure what happened with that, but you're more than welcome to speak now if you wish to speak on the substantive.
On the substantive.
Okay, no, I'm not going to speak on this substantive.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not going to support it, Mr. Mayor, and I was just trying to clarify the point, and I understand the difficulties with this system that we have now, and difficulties with the arrangements of when you can speak and when you can't speak. Certainly, if they'd adopted all the information and the recommendations from the Constitution Committee, it would have been a lot clearer.
Thank you. Councillor Farnworth.
Now, as a relatively new councillor, I was originally all in favour and support of giving the morality to across all parties. But in my time, I've seen a number of matters which has really concerned me from some opposition members with the protocol that, in my view, doesn't warrant the morality to be shared. Things like some members publicly looking to embarrass future mayors without due evidence, the failure to support mayoral functions and not voting for the nomination of mayors despite that protocol being followed. People may refer to the protocol, but I'd also remind all elected members of the Northern Principles. That's not to mention, and I have to disagree with Councillor Turner here, the arguable use of the mayor for political gain last year. I'd also ask that all members should support whoever is the mayor, and the evidence I've seen since my short time on this council, since we had a Lib Dem, Labour, Conservative and a Labour mayor, is that it doesn't happen. So if you want an agreed protocol, I think it's about certain members, particularly from the opposition, have a bit of a look at themselves. And I also believe, and it's already been referred to before, that when the opposition were in charge, wasn't there a Conservative mayor for around 10 consecutive years? So I think I'll be voting very much in favour of the original agenda item.
Thank you. Are there any other members wishing to speak on this item? Councillor Howarth.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just think the whole thing tonight has been very unfortunate, and if correct advice had been given, we might not be here now. What is now being suggested as the advice that we're being given is that we now go to the mayor-making council when the mayor is proposed, and we have a bun fight there, and then argue over procedure at the actual nomination of the mayor. What does that do for the person who's being nominated? It's appalling. So I'm not going to engage in that. I've made my views very clear. The idea that two wrongs make a right is just, well, sad to say the least, because it doesn't. We adopted this process. We adopted it between us all on the council, and for you to just now yet again go, yeah, boo hiss, you didn't support this, you didn't do that. It's just awful. So we will be abstaining on this vote because I think it's gone far enough, and to embarrass whoever is nominated as the mayor at a mayor-making meeting, I don't think any of us want to see that, and I certainly won't be doing it.
Thank you. There's one further member indicated to speak, Councillor Margaret Smith, and then I will move to the vote. Apologies. I will allow Councillor Tomlinson. Thank you. Councillor Margaret Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was of the opinion I wasn't going to get involved in this because I really find it quite undignified. But there are certain things have been said this evening that I think just need an amount of correction. Yes, there was a lot of Conservative mayors consecutively during a period, but at that time we had 45 members. There was 9 Labour and 1 Conservative, 1 Liberal. Bit difficult to then keep sharing it out over a period of about 20 years. Sorry? 10 years. Yes, but the period of time I'm talking about. So therefore, you have a difficulty, but it doesn't make it right. I have to say that. Having said that, that is in the past and we can't change it. So therefore, we have to move forward. What has just been said is what happened last year, we're following the procedure. What happened last year was not following the procedure because it should have been a Liberal last year and it went straight to the Labour. So Councillor Howarth is quite right. Two wrongs don't make a right. And I do take a little bit of exception to Councillor Farmer saying that certain people have not been supporting the Mayor. I've been here yesterday at the Holocaust service, and a very enjoyable one it was, and I thank Councillor Tomlinson for reminding me to light a candle at 8 o'clock last night, which I did. Having said that, I was also here at Remembrance Service. I've been here at every mayoral meeting that I could attend, and this is the Mayor's meeting, so it is his meeting. There is nothing in the Constitution that says you have to go to or should support charity. If you wish to do so, you do so. You put your hand in your pocket. If you don't, and you support charity, you do it your other way. So do be careful when you start saying things that, may I say, as you've said yourself, as a new member, when you've been around as long as I have, there's certain things that you do remember, and you should take cognizance of what has gone on and say, what is in the past is in the past. But please, let us not go to a council meeting and try to start sorting this out. I have nothing against Councillor Watkinson being the Mayor. Nothing at all. No. I'm fine with that. It's just the way it has been done. And that's why people are upset. And therefore, we will go to the vote and it will go through. We know that. But I know why people felt that they had to say something this evening. And as I say, I didn't intend getting up to say anything, but I think certain things had to be said. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll allow Councillor Caleb Tomlinson to speak, and then we will move to the vote.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr Mayor. I'm sorry for my huskiness this evening. I know I might sound better than usual. I was having a rather good time with the Mayor at Chorley's Burns evening on Friday, and just want to say, you voted against me last year, you voted against me this evening. I can guarantee I will show complete and utter impartiality as the Mayor. I will be a friend to all of you, apart from my own side, obviously. But, hopefully it'll go through. They might vote against me, you don't know. So, thanks, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving straight to the vote on the substantive motion. That item has been carried. Moving to item number 14, calendar of meetings. This item is for decision. Can I please ask the Leader of the Council, Councillor Matthew Tomlinson, to present the report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The calendar of meetings is there, as you can see. I do want to give pay tribute to our Democratic Services staff, because to try and juggle all this, for our new member, I would say make sure the council meetings are in your diary. They are the big ones, and you know, on the scrutiny committee, so you'll need to put those in your diary as well. But I think it's a fairly standard thing that we bring forward every year. But as I say, I would like to give my thanks to Democratic Services staff for juggling all these dates around, and I'm happy to move.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the council directly relating to this item? No? Can we move to the vote, please? Thank you. That item has been carried. Item number 15, houses of multiple occupation. This item is for decision. Can I please ask the Cabinet Member for Planning and Licensing, Councillor Colin Sharples, to present the report.
Thank you, Mayor. Members will recall that in response to a motion raised at the council meeting in November last, I did say that we would endeavour to bring a paper to the next meeting of full council So here we are. I'm pleased to present this report on ways that the Council, across its services and departments, can manage the potential proliferation of houses of multiple occupation and children's homes across the borough. In recent years, we have seen an increase in the number of these types of accommodation and, sadly, an increase in the number of complaints that we are seeing about the way these buildings are being run, causing impacts on existing residents. As a result, the action plan presented in this report contains a list of measures, carefully considered, that the Council can take to manage these situations. This includes identifying and inspecting unlicensed HMOs and children's homes in the borough, and improving the information given to the owners of HMOs and children's homes to ensure that they are clear on the Council's expectations of a well-run home. Our planning system has a role to play too. Currently, smaller HMOs do not require planning permission, but through an Article 4 direction, the Council can mandate that planning applications are required for homes providing accommodation for 3 to 6 unrelated households. The Article 4 direction does not prevent the conversion of dwellings to HMOs, you should be clear about that, as planning permission may still be granted for such conversions where they are appropriate and can still provide a valuable role in meeting housing needs. This report seeks Council agreement to establishing an immediate Article 4 to cover the entire borough. This means that from a date next month, owners of properties wishing to convert them into these smaller HMOs must apply for planning permission. This mechanism provides the Council, particularly through its planning function, a degree of control over the quality of new HMOs in the borough. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my thanks and congratulations to officers for the House of Multiple Occupation and Children's Homes Policy and Action Plan Appendix D of the report, and I ask you, would you pass my thanks on? This is a really good piece of work, and I would encourage members to read it if they haven't already done so. It is interesting, it's informative, positive, and indicative of this authority's approach, administration's approach, proactive approach. It covers a great deal about HMOs, Article 4 directions, the pros and cons, housing needs in South Ribble, our legal powers, planning considerations, what we are currently doing and what we plan to do. We have a plan with targets and milestones. It's not just about introducing an Article 4 direction, it's about helping residents and developers, helping to safeguard housing quality, protecting vulnerable residents and promoting stronger, more cohesive communities across South Ribble. I therefore commend the report to Council to agree the recommendations at paragraphs 3 to 7. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is that report seconded?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to second that report and just make a few remarks. I think I want to make it really clear this is not a knee-jerk reaction, and certainly well before last November's council meeting that Councillor Sharples referred to, we had been discussing this in Cabinet, and if I recall correctly, at the November meeting, Councillor Sharples provided the evidence to show that. So this is something that we've considered carefully over a period of time. I would echo Councillor Bretherton's comments at the last meeting as well. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with HMOs. For many people and for many properties, HMOs are exactly the right solution. So we are clearly not against houses of multiple occupation here in South Ribble. But what we need to do is to show to our residents we have an element of control over where they come, and that we have an element of control once they are operating. And that's what Article 4 directive does. It may lead to some difficult planning committee meetings for some people, but that's the nature of being on the planning committee, I think. But I think this just shows us as being a proactive council that is prepared to anticipate challenges as they come along and react in the correct way, thoughtfully, and with having due process in mind. So I thank Councillor Sharples for bringing this to full council, and I'm happy to second this proposal.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the council directly relating to this item? Councillor David Howarth.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just rising to support this because it's not just about houses of multiple occupation, it's about children's homes as well. And I don't have any problem with children's homes in the community. Children have every right to grow up and live in an ordinary community as most children do, going to local schools and being part of a family environment, if you like. However, as it stands at the moment, certainly in our area, we have a proliferation of these homes. As has been said in the report, many people coming from outside the area, and the issue with us isn't antisocial behaviour or young people not behaving properly. The issue is having 7 cars parked outside a house, or 9 cars parked outside a house. And we have one in Broadoak, as it turns out, in particular, where there's 3 children in a home. They have their certificate of lawful use, but when those children are out at school, they're having staff meetings in the house, and there are adults coming in from outside the area, occupying the house during the day for commercial purposes, effectively, and that has an impact on the local community. This particular street is on a bus route. There's a line of cars right up to the junction, and it causes those sorts of problems, as opposed to the usual fears that residents have that there's going to be all sorts of antisocial behaviour taking place. So when you have houses or HMOs with numerous people in them with vehicles, it does cause a problem for the local area, and I think we have to be cognizant of that as well. So I do support this.
Thank you. Councillor Hayden Williams.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I'd like to echo some of the comments that Councillor Howarth has just made about children's homes. In Leyland Central, there is a proliferation of houses that have been used for permitted development rights, which is a loophole, a planning loophole for children's home for 1 or 2 children, where outside care companies from outside the borough, outside Lancashire, and the auspices of Lancashire County Council and this council are coming in, buying property within the Leyland area. I know of 6 at least, of a care company that really may or may not have a track record in care of vulnerable children. And that is a significant concern that I've raised to a number of people within the council, and we have taken strong action against those people. So I am really pleased to see these inspection methods, and we are doing the maximum we can within the law as it stands that we can deal with, that is actually dealing with and inspecting these children's home and protecting vulnerable children. And I would just like to ask that something similar to an Article 4 could be brought forward for national legislation to deal with children's homes and permitted development rights, because I think that is vitally important, because the root of all this is our vulnerable children and companies exploiting vulnerable children for profit in some cases. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pete Pillinger.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I want to support this as well. It's part of a bigger issue, however. When family homes are transferred into another type of use, as they are to HMOs, that still keeps housing in the market, as it were, so they're still houses. When they are transferred into Airbnbs, there is no legislation to protect that. On Buckshaw Village, we've had 4-bedroomed houses rented out on Airbnb as sleeping 10 people, with the consequent parking problems. And I would like to ask our Cabinet if they would consider writing to the government to ask them if they would bring forward legislation to allow us to licence such change of use. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jane Bell.
It's just to support what Hayden's just said. Sorry, Councillor William. It's some weeks ago, just before Christmas, I had a very interesting conversation from a policeman. It wasn't me that was being arrested or anything, no. But you know, I quite like young policemen. But he contacted me because they were very concerned about a firm who were interested in buying a property in my ward with the idea of it becoming a private children's home. And the police were phoning me up to say, do you know anything? Is there anything, on the local scene that you know about? Do your residents know anything? More or less asking me to say, ask the residents, keep an eye on the place. So I put the word out, and people were keeping an eye on the place, and there were some iffy comings and going. As far as I'm aware, it's quieting down and nothing happened. But I just wanted to reiterate what Hayden was saying. that the police are fully aware of some of the iffy goings on, shall we say. So just be aware, it's not just about young people coming out of from across, you know, other areas. It's also about possibly money laundering and things like that that's going on. So just making everybody aware, you know. So there you go. Still, I might be talking a lot, but I do know what's going on.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Councillor Karen Bolton.
Mr Mayor, I support what Councillor Howard and what Councillor Williams has said tonight. The Article 4 direction is a necessary tool to manage the concentration of HMOs and children's homes in a responsible way, rather than preventing them outright. Evidence shows that unmanaged areas and clustering can take place and puts pressure on local services and undermines community cohesion, as we've seen in other parts of the county. Introducing the Article 4 enables the ability of the council to assess proposals on a case-by-case basis and ensures that residents' voices are meaningfully considered through the planning process, and I'm fully supportive of the inspection regime of these HMOs, which are, I'm afraid, encroaching in my area where I live in South Ribble, and for the inspection regime to take on these responsible roles and ensure that the health and safety of the residents and the children, especially the children, are really considered in the policy going forward. And so we will be supporting it.
Thank you. As there are no current requests to speak, I will move to the vote. Thank you. Thank you, that has been carried. Moving forward to item number 16, Parks, Play and Open Spaces Strategy. This item is for decision. Can I please ask the Cabinet Member for Parks, Events and Culture, Councillor Matthew Farnworth, to present the report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm really pleased to introduce and propose this agenda item, which is the new South Ribble Parks, Play and Open Space Strategy. This strategy includes a 6-year investment and delivery plan, and also requests that Council sets up particular budgets for particular projects in line with our Constitution. This report was accepted by Cabinet earlier this month and now needs adoption by Council. It also proposes the adoption of a new budget for Project 14, which is Dobb Lane Play Area in Walmer Bridge, of £190,000, which will be funded from future community infrastructure levy receipts. I'd personally like to thank our officer Neil for compiling this really exciting report, and want to thank all our Parks and Open Spaces staff who do a wonderful job in all our parks and open spaces. I'm proud that this council, under this administration, has worked towards an ambitious programme of playground, park and open spaces renovations since 2019. I'd even go as far to say one of the most ambitious in Lancashire. We've managed to complete over 50 projects, including playgrounds, footpaths, multi-use paths and parks, and in this time, all across every area of the borough. Projects like saving Strawberry Valley Park, thanks to our two councillors, Pete and Hindle Taylor, the restoration of Hurst Grange Coach House, the creation of Farrington Moss Park, improvements to Withy Grove Park, revamping of Tardy Gate Park in Lostock Hall, football facilities in Bamber Bridge, and many, many more. We've also added to our total of green flag parks and now boast 5 across South Ribble, one of which, Worden Park, was recently nominated as one of the top 10 green flag parks in the UK, which is a significant achievement. But now we've got to look to the future. A lot of work has gone into this report, and I know that each and every member will be really eager for improvements to parks and open spaces in their ward. But in reality, we only have a certain amount of budget to work with. Now, projects highlighted in the attached investment and delivery plan are proposed to be in years 1 and 2, which will be fully funded, and then years 3 to 6 will be funded through unspecified developer contributions, such as SIL and Section 106 money. So we'll try and bring them forward as and when we get through the programme, but also it's all about future planning. In the report, we've also placed a number of maps and keys which show members the plan works and the works that have already taken place, which I hope is useful for members. Now, I'd also like to point out that the strategy also looks to enhance sustainability, green spaces, and protects and enhances biodiversity through Safe Ribble. We'll also continue our work with the numerous friends of groups who we can all agree who help make our open spaces and parks look fantastic. Without those groups and volunteers, we simply couldn't do the work that we've done to complete it. I'm also pleased to say that we're currently developing and will develop an events policy, which will include the promotion of local events at our main parks, which will form the basis of our cultural strategy, which will be due out soon. Moreover, we'll also look to improve the physical, mental health and safety within our parks and green spaces. So we'll look at improvements to things like lighting and CCTV, and we'll work with community groups, businesses and police. Like we previously discussed, this will hopefully lead to our women and girls, lead to women and girls, as well as people who are feeling vulnerable, feel safer. So I'd like to propose approval for council for recommendations 2 and 3 in the report, and I look forward to seeing the results.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Yes, thank you, Mr. I'm thrilled to second this report. I think we've got an enviable track record of looking after and improving our parks and playgrounds, as Councillor Farnworth has just described. Perhaps what we haven't had and have never had in the past is a planned approach to what we're going to do over the coming years. So it's really exciting to see that not only have we done such fantastic work right across the borough, we should never take it for granted. You know, people from other councils, councillors, are envious of what we've been able to do. And I know that residents of other places look to our parks and playgrounds with a degree of envy. So whilst we congratulate our staff and thank them for the work that they've already done, it's really important that we have a plan for what we're going to do next. And that's exactly what this sets out. I'm delighted to second the report.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the council directly relating to this item? Councillor John Rainsbury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's not particularly a question, but it can be. I think it was Plato said a wise man says something when he's got something to say. I find myself in this prestigious seat here, and I think I'm not going to miss the opportunity to speak. I'm looking through the report, and I'm delighted to see in the report that Dobb Lane Recreation Ground is on the list for being renovated and done. I mean, my grandchildren have played on that ground for years, and now my great-grandchildren, my 3 great-grandsons, are now going to be able to play on a new one. I'd like to add the thanks to the officers. We've had many meetings on site over the years, both myself and members of the Western parishes, and they've always been very patient with us. They've listened, they've come back, they've given advice, and it's been really a good journey, and it is a good outfit and a good output. Thanks for their assistance, and I just one little, this is where the question will come probably. I just hope that on our sites, on our visits to the football pitches, and there's a shortage of football pitches. Yeah, we've got 2 in Hoole which are underused, one's not being used, and that's on the same park. And the other is at Much Hoole, which is, they use it half of the year because the beginning of the season, the rain makes it unplayable. It needs drainage and it's desperate. They've got 2 good football teams, and it'd be a wonderful, or as you say, it would be a wonderful thing if you could get it done and make Much Hoole great again. So, thank you.
Councillor George Rea.
I'm very aware that a debate like this can get bogged down in everybody talking about little things in our own wards, so I hope the portfolio holder will indulge me this one, because it's something I've been chasing more or less since I've been elected. In relation to the Green Links Master Plan, talks about the Leyland Loop and the work that's ongoing in there. There is a little bridge included that's one of the banes of my life, crossing Mill Lane, crossing the River Lostock, where I'm fighting between the Borough Council, the County Council and Caddick about who has responsibility for drainage over that bridge, because it ain't going to be much of a link at the moment. Through the winter you cannot get over that bridge because of drainage problems. Can the Councillor Farnworth get somebody to get in touch with you please to sort out that bridge as part of the link plan for all Leyland residents, not just Farringdon West ones.
Thank you. Councillor Phil Smith, I can see you vindicated to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're very observant this evening. This plan, this policy is excellent, I have to say. I've looked through it, read it several times, and I think it is excellent. But if I could just refer the Cabinet member and members, in fact, there aren't many in this room that remember it. But Central Parks Master Plan is something that we have pushed in this council for years and years and years, going back to 2014, I believe it was, or something like that. And it was a 10-year vision for South Ribble. To celebrate the 50 years of South Ribble Borough Council and to leave a legacy for the ones that may not be around after 2025. Unfortunately, this project, along with the Green Links projects, have not made the progress that we would hope for since 2019. However, as I said before, the plan that is in front of us is excellent. If we can keep to that, it will be really, really good. A lot of the items in here, as in the maps and the places and the names, I've got some of these at home. I've had them for about 10 years at home, waiting for them to come forward. And okay, that the council's agenda has not been on Green Links, has not been on Central Parks, which I believe it should have been, but has been on the play areas, and we have no problems with that. You've been doing play areas instead of. Our priority would have been the green lungs of this council, running straight the way from one end to the other, all the way down to the river. It's unfortunate that it's not come forward at the speed that we would have liked it to come forward. We would have liked to have a real celebration in 2025 to say we've achieved our aim and it's come forward and we've achieved it. But, you know, again, we support the project. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor David Howard.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, excellent programme. I think certainly back in the day we did have a programme of playground refurbishment, if nothing else. But a bit disappointing that Penwortham Home is not listed here. It's an incredible facility every Saturday morning for many young football teams who play down there. And one of the problems we've got is that the old changing rooms are still standing there. They're derelict, you can't get into them, and certainly the parents of the kids that play down there are asking us, why can't we do something with it? Now, I appreciate that there is a renegotiation of the lease taking place, and it is dependent on that, but at least it could be included in a programme for something to happen in the future if it's actually on the list to start with.
Thank you. Councillor Will King.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to join and say how great this is as well. If I could vote for it twice, I would. It's something particularly on the football pitch side. So when I was younger, my sister, she didn't want to do netball, she wanted to do football. And at that point, there was absolutely no women's football teams around in the western parishes for her to play in. So when she finished school, then she had to go and get 2 buses towards Bamber Bridge, and actually by the end, having near enough no pocket money, should eventually not go by the end of the month. So it's something whereby actually now, and with the drainage that's been happening on the Longton pitches, which is all completed, it's actually started that process off. So women's football teams now are being planned with New Longton Football Club, that going across both New Longton, and hopefully now Much Hall as well. So it's actually a great example of a way that we can all actually make a real difference. So fully supportive of this, and thank you.
Thank you. Are there any final members wishing to ask any questions or speak before I invite the Cabinet member to answer? No. Councillor Matthew Farnworth.
Thanks, Mayor. So I'll obviously try and to come to each point that every member's taken. Councillor Rainsbury, thanks for your positive comments in terms of Dob Lane. Obviously, it's been a number of years in fruition now, and you know your support's appreciated. In terms of the number of comments about the sort of football pitches, obviously, like I've explained, we've only got a number of money. It's few and far between, but I am sort of committed to have conversations with yourself and Councillor King in terms of how we can potentially and Councillor Howell, sorry, to look at that. And I just want to pick up on Councillor Ria's point in terms of the Mill Lane thing, and I'll speak to you sometime this week to try and make some progress on that. And I think we can all agree it's a positive report, and like I said, I'd really appreciate if all members could support it.
Thank you. Can we move to the vote, please? Thank you. That has been carried. Moving forward to item number 17, the vehicle age policy. This item is for decision. Can I please ask the Chair of the Licensing and Public Safety Committee, Councillor James Gleeson, to present the report.
The Council is asked this evening to approve the revised vehicle age policy for Hackney carriage and private hire vehicles. The Licensing and Public Safety Committee has carried out a thorough review of the current policy, including engagement with the taxi trade and a full consultation between November and December last year. The key message from the trade was clear. The existing low age limit of 6 years is increasingly difficult to meet in the current market and has become a barrier to sourcing affordable, suitable vehicles. At the same time, more drivers are choosing to be licensed elsewhere where there are perhaps no age limits and then operating in South Ribble through app-based services. This limits our enforcement powers and risks undermining the standards and safety we expect for our residents. The revised policy strikes a balanced approach. It removes the lower age limit, retains the upper age limit of 12 years and keeps the Euro 6 emission requirement. This maintains safety and environmental standards while supporting our local drivers. Exemptions remain in place for wheelchair accessible vehicles and SEN transport. The Licensing and Public Safety Committee has considered all consultation responses and recommends the changes now before Council. Adopting this policy keeps South Ribble competitive, supports the local trade and strengthens our local oversight. I therefore move to recommend this report to Council.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Rainsbury. Are there any questions or comments from any members of the Council directly relating to this item? Councillor Matthew Farnworth.
Thanks, Mayor. I think it's a really sensible thing to do given the concerns that the private hire drivers have stated. I don't think it impacts the safety of customers, and I think we can all agree that we need to allow our local private hire drivers every opportunity to compete with multinational companies like Uber, whilst maintaining our high standards that we adhere to at this council for our residents. I just want to state that last week I attended a meeting of the Office of Police and Crime Commissioner for Lancashire, in which was attended by licensing officers from across Lancashire about people's safety. So people included there was Safe Ribble licensing officers. And I'm really proud to say that it was Safe Ribble which came out as a shining example of a council being proactive on initiatives to ensure that our residents stay safe. So I just want to put on record my thanks to the licensing team for this particular proposal, but for all the work that they do for our residents and for this council. And I'm going to vote in favour of the proposal.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from any members of the Council? No? Okay, can we move to the vote, please? Thank you. That item has been carried. That item was the last item of the business. The next meeting will be Wednesday, the 4th of March 2026, where I can't promise we'll also be finished at 20:04. I now declare this meeting closed. Thank you.